With Car Guru's Discover, you can skip the filters and describe what you're looking for in your own words. Simply type what you want, and Car Guru's Discover instantly surfaces real listings that match your exact needs. It's no wonder Car Gurus is the #1 most visited car shopping site according to SimilarWeb's estimated traffic data. Buy or sell your next car today with Car Gurus at cargurus.com. Go to cargurus.com to make sure your big deal is the best deal. That's cargurus.com. cargurus.com.
Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Welcome, everybody, to the Hockey Think Tank podcast, brought to you by the Hockey Think Tank. You, a community of passionate hockey parents, players, and coaches where you can go to get a little bit of education and a little bit of inspiration regarding the greatest game on the planet. What an episode we have for you guys here today. He is back for round 2. We had him on a couple of years ago, a guy that Vex and I played junior hockey and college hockey against way back in the day. He played his junior hockey for Waterloo in the USHL, then went on to have a great career at UNH, the University of New Hampshire, before a great pro hockey career after that. And now he's a performance coach, MF Performance Coaching, just an unreal guy, Matt Fornataro. But before we do get over to Matt, let's bring on the talent of the podcast, the one Jeffrey. He's got a new haircut, Jeffrey Lavecchio. Vex, what's going on today, brother?
Yeah, Toph said it. I'm feeling fresh. Had a little barber shop today because we got some pictures my wife and I are doing tomorrow, so that'll be exciting. We're also taking Sophie to Disney on Ice. What's up? Got a speech for that. Get off me. Super cheap though, so not that cool. Yeah, super excited. No idea how she's going to react to that, so that'll be fun. But really cool, man. Wanted to make sure I talked about this. One of my clients, Jack Anderson, was named National Defenseman of the Month for all of Division I college hockey. Didn't even know that was a thing, that was an award they give out, but it is. He got CCHA Defenseman of the Month. He plays at Michigan Tech. And then he was just named National Defenseman of the Month. He's a 6'6", 230-pound machine, undrafted. So this is massive. He played at Lindenwood last year, had played there his whole college career, and then, was making the tough decision with them changing coaches over the summer. He decided to stick with his coach and go to Tech with Bill, who was at Lindenwood and then went to Tech. And he's just having a great year. And dude, I wanted to make sure I talked about it because this guy has done everything he possibly could to get better. It is amazing. I think I started training him 4 or 5 years ago now, and he was tall and pretty strong, but couldn't walk and chew bubble gum at the same time. This kid has worked so hard on the ice, off the ice, nutrition, mindset, recovery. He literally does everything. And so to see a guy like that get these type of accolades and all that work pays off, just really, really excited. And he's such a good human being. So just really happy for
what
Jack.
Was his path? What did he do? Midget hockey into juniors and everything?
He was a null guy.
Okay.
During COVID, he was young. I think it was in juniors, going into juniors. And during COVID, he took COVID really hard, staying home, and he got super chubby as a late teenager. And he showed every year I make him show the pictures to all the guys. I'm like, this is him before he started working out here, and this is him now. He's got a 24 pack. What's up? But I make him show it, and we all the boys laugh. They've all seen it in the gym. But yeah, it wasn't like he came into Lindenwood as this guy's gonna sign an NHL deal and he's a stud. He's had to work for everything he's gotten, and I've watched him do that, and I'm just so proud of him and excited for him about everything that's going on this year, all the accolades, and hopefully he signs an NHL deal here at the end of the year. And if he does, a team is getting an unbelievably hard worker and a good person and somebody who's gonna earn it every day.
Unreal, man. That actually reminds me of a post I made last week on social media. There's a kid, David Deputy. He's actually a Chicago kid who was Rookie of the Month for the NCHC, which is one of the top divisions in college hockey. And so like being a Chicago guy and knowing a little bit, I don't know him personally, but knowing a little of the path, like he played AA hockey until midget. He didn't have a point per game any season until he got to his last year of youth hockey in 18U. Played a year in the NAHL, played 2 years in the USHL, went into Miami of Ohio as a 21-year-old freshman. He's 5'9", and here he is, rookie of the month for the NCHC. And that's where like you think about it, dude, like we say this all the time, but it's so unbelievably true. Everybody has a different path. Everybody has a different path. There is no one right path, right way to do things in youth hockey and junior hockey to get to that ultimate college hockey, pro hockey level. You just have to be in the moment, the best that you can be wherever you're at. Just focus on your development, focus on getting better, focus on the opportunities that you're given, earn the opportunities that maybe you don't have yet. And those are the kids, like these are the types of kids that end up making it at the end. Like, yes, there are some that are just that talented that they just can skate right on through. They're just that talented. There are people like that, but most people have to grind. Most people have to hit adversity. Most people have to pass other people. They're not as talented, but they love the game and they work at it. And it's just like, I love hearing and telling stories like this because probably 98 to 99% of the kids that are listening to us right now, that's going to be your journey. Not everybody was born blessed with the skills of, you know, a Connor Bedard or a Macklin Celebrini or a Sidney Crosby. Like we got to grind it out. And whatever your ceiling is, like, just make sure that you're working your butt off and reaching your potential. If you can get to as close to your God-given potential, you're putting yourself in the best opportunity to achieve your dreams at the end of the day. Focus on the things that you can control. Don't try to, like, just imagine this kid who was playing AA hockey until midgets, right? If he would have compared his journey to somebody else's, there's no chance that he would have made where he's at today. Right. And I don't know the kid. I'm just making an assumption, but knowing what we know, like if you compare yourself to others and you're like, oh, you know, I haven't played AAA by the time I got to 15, like my hockey career is over. It's probably what a lot of people think. Like, no, like if you really have a true work ethic for it, you know, and you love it and you want to put the time in, you know, the average age of a college freshman in Division I hockey and Division III hockey is 20 years old, guys. It's 20 years old. You got 5 years of putting in the reps, putting in the time to get better. And so I'm glad you said that. And I, you know, when you said that, it reminded me of Deputy, this kid that's at Miami now. And it's cool. Really, really cool to be able to share these stories.
Dude, it's, you know, there's nothing cooler than seeing those kids succeed. And Miami, Ohio is taking off here now too. I just saw that.
Top 20 in the country, man.
Yeah, I messaged Noreen, head coach here, because I worked with him training his Tri-City Storm teams like 4 out of 5 years or something like that, 3 out of 4 when he was there. And, you know, doesn't surprise me at all. You know, winners win. And he does a lot of winning and he does a lot of developing. So I'm sure he's loving that kid.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So awesome to have Fonz back on the podcast here. If we're going to change gears a little bit, this was a really cool conversation, guys. It's one of the longer conversations. I feel we just kept going, man. Like it was just, we just kept, and we got deep and got like philosophical and emotional and like this. And it's really funny because just the backstory. So I think Vex, me, and Fonz are like uber extremely competitive and uber extremely emotional when it came to playing the game of hockey. And like Fonz hated me and I hated Fonz. Fonz hated Vex and Vex hated Fonz, right? Which is such a cool thing to be able to have him on the podcast now and talk about it. And if you are a part of Hockey Think Tank U community with our 10 questions, one of the questions that I asked him was, if you had a chance to slash one of us in the back of the legs and hurt us, like which one would it be?
That's a great question. I won't lie. I was a little surprised by his answer. You guys will have to listen to it to get that answer. But like you said, I mean, he's such a passionate guy, just about development for all human beings, like wanting to level up, inspiring people to level up. Obviously, he lived in an intentional manner, and it's why he got to the levels he did in hockey and had the career that he did. And dude, he's just an inspiring guy. Like, I love talking to this guy. It's like you said, this podcast could have been 8 hours long. We could have just kept going. And, you know, I'm so glad we got him back on the podcast, and what he's doing right now is really cool. He's very, very good at what he does. He's very good at the mental side of life, and mental coaching it's just right up his alley. And I know he's going to help a ton of hockey players out there.
Yeah, big time. Very, very fun conversation. And we'll get deep a little bit. It was cool. So we will get over to Fonz in just a second here. But before we do have some people that we'd like to thank who support us. First and foremost, want to thank Ice Hockey Systems, our title sponsor, icehockeysystems.com, the best website out there for not just your coaching education needs now, but also incredible parent and player education on there as well. And so from a coaching standpoint, the ability to go in and draw up your drills, send them out to your teams. There's thousands of drills at your disposal that you can use and put into your practice plans, whiteboard explanations from really, really high level hockey people. And you can get this for every single coach in your association. We've partnered with them to be able to do an association platform where you can get it for every coach. And we know a ton of different youth organizations, guys, that utilize Ice Hockey Systems, and it's such a value add. And not only that, but they have avenues here for parent and player education too. You're talking about advice. You're talking about perspective from some of the top hockey minds in the game, players, coaches alike. And man, just a phenomenal website. So go to icehockeysystems.com and check it out today.
Want to give a massive thank you to Train Heroic and First Form, because what I'm doing this summer, it has never been done with my company before. And I am so excited to be offering this. Last year, we had almost 300 players do my off-season online training program. That was for players that were 14 years old and up. This year, we're going to have 2 tracks, 13 years old and below for all at-home training in the off-season, and then 14 years and up in a gym. Just the group that's 14 years old and up with the in-gym program, you will also automatically get a password to the First Form app where you will have a direct contact my sports nutritionist that will work with you all summer long. He will be there to answer DMs through the app 24/7 video. You can send him pictures of your meals and ask him, hey, Coach Mike, what am I missing in this meal? He's going to do your macros for you. If you don't track your macros, he will be reaching out to hold you accountable. Hey, Johnny, noticed you didn't track your macros the last 2 days. Come on. Make sure you're doing that, because that's going to help you recover and grow muscles and grow bigger, faster, stronger. So this is going to hold all the players that train with me online this summer and in person accountable to actually doing their nutrition, which is one of the most important parts. I am so excited to offer this in conjunction with my Train Heroic off-season program. I already have a team signed up for it. Teams, if that train with me online, you will automatically be getting this service as well now. So reach out to me if you have any questions, you want to work with me online this summer. This is going to move the needle more than anything I have ever done. And I am so thankful to Train Heroic and First Form for making this happen.
Unreal, man. And the next person that I want to thank, and guys, there is a really, really cool thing going on with Helios Hockey right now. And it is a challenge for the Olympics that both Vex and I, if you go to our Instagram accounts, you'll check it out. But it is a really, really cool US-Canada competition. So all us people here in the United States of America, we gotta get her going here. We got to get her going. Awesome little competition. So go to Vex and I's Instagrams to check that out through Helios Hockey. And if you're not familiar with Helios Hockey yet, it is a unbelievable product for hockey development. It is a chip, a sensor that you put into your shoulder pads that gives you real-time data, real-time feedback on your play, specifically with 2 things. 1, a hustle score. Every time you move, that thing lights up and it gives you a hustle score where you can compare your hustle to other players on your team, other players from around the US, around Canada. It's a really, really cool thing. And they've added so many cool little features to this hustle score. You got to check that out. And also your stride. To be able to play at the highest levels of the game today, you have to be able to skate. And this is a great opportunity to have some skating development and some skating data that can help you to make your stride a little bit better. But the kicker, this chip, it syncs up with whatever video that you're using, whether it's LiveBarn, whether it's a camera, whether it's an iPhone, iPad, whatever it may be. And you can get your shifts for your game or your reps from your practice cut up for you directly when you are done. No more zzz, fast forward, zzz, rewind, no more clicking through. You have everything right at your disposal. And so just an absolute kicker. So go to helioshockey.com to check it out. And if you use the coupon code Think Tank, one word, you will get a 20% discount on your pro annual or your pro 24-month plan with Helios Hockey, or go to helioshockey.com/teams. You can get a discount for your entire team. Lastly, we want to thank Crossbar. Crossbar is an end-to-end software solution that helps you streamline the operations of your youth hockey club. If you are not familiar with Crossbar, it is an incredible thing that can help. It's an all-in-one spot that can help you to run your organization a lot more efficiently and a lot more effectively. So what does that mean? Incredibly easy to use website design, both on the front end and on the back end with the software that you have. 5-star communication app to communicate with your players and your coaches and your families. Unbelievable tools for financial reporting, for facility management, for volunteer management, and just an unbelievable scheduling part to it where you can schedule your entire season out, or even for little things like drop-ins and stick and puck skates as well. So if you do not have Crossbar yet for your youth organization, I promise you will be satisfied by changing over. So go to crossbar.org and check that out today. And then finally, thank you to all of our amazing listeners. We love you guys so much, and we continue to grind this baby out every week for the last 7 years because we just love you, man. We want to make the hockey world a better place, and the only thing we ask for in return, if you can, if the spirit moves you, anything that you can do to interact with our podcast app, whether it's shooting us a rating, review, following us, subscribing to our channel, commenting on our episodes, that just goes a long way to the algorithm, to helping us to spread and grow and get into some more people's ears and help us on our mission to make a hockey world a better place. So that would be amazing. And this is an amazing episode with a great guy. And so without further ado, here we go with performance coach Matt Fornataro. We are so excited to have on this episode of the podcast. He's back for round 2. Gosh, it's probably been 4 or 5 years maybe in between podcast episodes, but we got Matt Fornataro. Matt, how we doing today, man?
What's going on, boys? Happy to be here. Yeah, it's definitely been probably 3, 4, maybe even 5 years. So love seeing what you guys have built here, and happy to be back on, chop it up with you guys.
Hell yeah.
Are you sponsored by the Cookie Monster?
Yeah, oh yeah. All baby blue all the time.
Oh God, you're a beauty, Vex. Well, Matt, just to reintroduce you, to our listeners here from Calgary, but went the NCAA route, which is a little bit easier now for kids from Calgary, now that kids from Major Junior can come down and play. But we were nemesis back in the day, playing for Waterloo, and I was in Chicago. You ended my junior hockey career on your way to winning the USHL Championship, Clark Cup. Then you went on to UNH before quite a long professional career. But man, you've done so many great things as a player. And now what you're doing in the hockey world, you sold a business based on content and putting out great messaging out there for youth hockey players and beyond. And now you got a new little project going here too, but want to first ask you, you're doing so much goodwill and trying to help the athletes coming up for today. Is there something or someone in your journey that kind of lit the fire in you, like somebody that gave back to you, somebody that helped you to get to where you ended up getting to in your hockey career? And you're like, man, I want to give back just like that person did to me.
Yeah, it's a great question. We were joking earlier, we're getting old. I hit the 40 mark this past summer. Still feel young, but there's a bunch of people when I think back to who shaped me and who kind of helped me figure out, especially this chapter in giving back and helping coach. And first name comes to mind is PK O'Hanley, junior coach in Waterloo.
Legend, absolute legend in the USHL.
Oh, absolute legend. Super demanding, especially when you played for him. He was he had that presence. You were like, oh man, you just never wanted to kind of let a guy like that down, and he really sort of set that foundation of having a personal standard and waking up every day and abiding by that. And So he's definitely number one on that list. But there's many others. I mean, my parents were great role models in that way. I had good coaches growing up. There was a gentleman by the name of Tim Churchard. He was sort of like sports psych guy at UNH. I spent a lot of time with him, mostly because I was like a mental midget when I was a player a little bit, which is funny now that I'm helping athletes sort of navigate through those sometimes murky waters of the mental side of sports. So, there's plenty of people that I think I would look to that were great leaders and role models for me.
So let me ask you a question about that, because guys who are listening and parents and coaches who are listening, like Toph and I played against Fonzie here, and I played against him in the USHL and one game in college in the tournament that Toph was actually in too, down in Florida.
Yeah,
we were in different divisions, so didn't play each other often. But he was a very, very good player, extremely skilled, cerebral, and also played the game hard. I hated him on the ice when we played in juniors. I chased him around trying to fight him, probably because my coach was like, "This is a great trade-off, Vex and Fornataro. If we can make this happen, let's go." But on a serious note, you said I was a mental midget, so I was with the sports psychologist a lot. For the younger players listening, for the parents listening, for the coaches listening, obviously you're joking a little bit, but what do you mean by that? What was hard for you from the mental side of the game that you sought out, mentorship from somebody that could help you?
Yeah, I think my own, and I see it a lot with the athletes I work with, is like, I was so hard on myself, like to a detriment a little bit. I think it's important that you have your own sort of standard and that you expect yourself to perform well. But I think where I really struggled, especially in my career and even in the first part of my pro career when I was in the American League and trying to make a name for yourself, it was like there was so many highs and lows versus that sort of even keel. It's okay to have a bad night. It really is, especially in the hockey world. Even the young kids today, they play 60, 70 games. You're not going to be at your best for 70 of them. So it's understanding that, like, okay, that's okay, but having a good sort of framework to sit with that and then accept it and then move past it. And just because you have one mistake or one bad night doesn't mean you're a bad player or that bad things are going to happen. And I think, 20 years ago when I was I had so much pressure on myself, or I put so much pressure on myself to, be that guy every single night. And when it didn't happen, I was so hard on myself. And, I think back to a lot of sleepless nights that if I would have known what I sort of have learned and grown into now, that's the one thing where I would have sort of really tried to work with me on when I was younger.
I hear you, man. I was the same way. Just total worst critic and rode the highs and the lows pretty extremely, no question. And it's funny, like my coach in junior hockey one year, as I was going through some of those ups and those downs, one of the things that he told me that I thought really kind of helped to at least put things into perspective. He was like, look, 20% of the games that you're going to play this year, you're going to be awesome. Like it's going to be flow state. 20% of the games, you're going to feel like your feet are stuck in the mud. Your hands don't work with your brain. Like you're going to suck. And then the other 60%, like that is going to be dictated by your habits, your standards, and the way that you prepare yourself, every day, when you get to the rink. And so, I wanted to ask you with that, because you talked about a personal standard, and a personal standard, I feel like, is a way to really hone in on the process and not the result. And, judging yourself based upon the standard that you have set to yourself. And did I reach that standard today? As opposed to like the result of what it's going to be when you go on and play, in a game and things like that. So if you can just talk a little bit about how you work with players on setting that standard, what that looks like, what people should be looking for, because I think that's a really, really great thing for kids to be self-reflective, to have, a little bit of a rhyme or a reason and a plan or a routine on how to do things. So yeah, how do you work with kids on that?
Yeah, I love this because I think a lot of young athletes and parents too, they get habits and standards sort of interchangeable, and they're not. They're different, right? And like or excuse me, goals and standards, right? And goals are great to have, right? They're sort of that, I want to score 20 goals this year. I want to make X team. And goals are great to have, but standards are the things that you commit to every day, right? And so it's, I'm going to wake up at 6. I'm going to read minimum 20 minutes every day. I'm going to drink 32, like however much water that, like standards are different than goals. Goals are things that you are striving towards and you want to achieve, but standards are things that you control every single day. And so I think, to your point, the standards help sort of give you that compass and help you put a plan and a process together that if you can just stay dialed in on, this is what I said I'm going to do, and every day when you get up, you do that, pretty soon you're going to be like, holy shit, I made that team. Oh my God, I scored 20 goals. And you're less focused on, you know, the goals that are so far ahead of you. And you sort of reframe it to build standards that are going to push you, that are going to make you a little bit uncomfortable, that are going to make you accountable to yourself, right? Like the standards and all these good programs, hockey programs, football programs, college programs that have built really good places to play, they talk a lot about the standards. But I think, especially in youth sports, it gets really mixed up with goals and standards. They're different. Goals are great to have. They're sort of that, like, that's the mountaintop I want to get to. But you have to have like those daily standards that you are accountable to you for. And that's the biggest thing, I think.
Yeah, no question, man. Well, let me ask you this as it relates to standards. How high should we set them? Because it's interesting. Like we had Jason Guerrero. I don't know if you know Jason Guerrero played at Northeastern.
Yeah.
I'm sure you ran into it at some point, but he works with USA Hockey now, and USA Hockey actually did a study on 8U players on what was fun, right? They were like, hey, we always talk about like hockey's got to be fun for kids, but what do they think fun is? So they did this big study, and it turns out that the number one answer for what was fun was that for them is being challenged, which I think is incredible. Like, I think what a great answer, because I feel like there's this kind of misnomer out there that like kids today are soft and, you know, you can't push them and things like that. When you asked a bunch of 7 and 8 year olds, like what was fun, it was being pushed. It was being challenged. And so when you think about setting standards with, and daily accountabilities with kids and, you know, of all ages, I mean, sure, it's a little bit different with older kids and younger kids, but like, how important it is to extend it. You mentioned outside the comfort zone, but like, what do you think?
Yeah, I love that. I think it has to be something where like it can't be, I'm going to run 8 miles every day, because by day 11 you're going to be injured, or you're going to like that is a little bit like of a stretch. So the discomfort needs to be, I don't do this every day, but if I did, right, these small little steps, if I did do this, I'm a huge believer in like micro segments of your day, right? And like one thing, like I never read a book until I was 32 years old. And I've since read 800 probably books. And I don't say that to be braggadocious, but the only reason that I was able to do that is I made a commitment to myself. I set a standard for myself. I'm going to read for 10 minutes every day, every single day, Christmas, birthday, like it doesn't matter. I'm going to read for 10 minutes. And before long, like sometimes you're into a book and you end up reading for 45 minutes or an hour sometimes, right? And so I think like when you're looking to set standards, they have to be something where you're able to be consistent with it. It can't be like this outlandish Goggins style, like craziness to where all of a sudden you're bringing in potential of injury, potential of burnout, Like, it has to be things that you can be consistent with over a long period of time. And that's where like the true gains are. So I think
heard,
like,
yeah, I was just going to say, I heard a great line once. It was consistency over intensity every day of the week.
bingo.
You know, like shooting 10 pucks for 100 straight days versus 100 pucks for one day is going to help you, you know, be a much better player and get better. That consistency is king.
And where I think like this podcast and what you're doing, Fonzie, and what I'm doing with Give More Advising and stuff like that, it's really, really helpful to people who have a goal to have quality mentors to help them decipher and decide what should my daily standards be. I have 5 standards that every advising client that works with me, every call that we do twice a month, we talk about their 5 daily details to win the day. And they're not sexy, they are not some crazy thing, but they're things that if you do them every single day, you are getting better. And by checking that box, yes, I did this with intention, all 5 things, you're also building bulletproof confidence, right? If you set your standards like David Goggins, and what Goggins has done is amazing, but that's not what athletes need to do. Pushing yourself to the point of injury is donkey like. That is stupid. That's not what we need to be doing. That doesn't help athletic performance, right? And so I think that's where some people see that, and people who get up at 2 a.m. every day and do all these things. Well, it's like, well, that's not helping you with your goal. So you need to know what the goal is, and then you need to figure out what your daily standards are, and you don't miss them. And if you do, you reflect, you think, how could I have planned my day better? How could I have figured out my schedule better so that I didn't miss them? And I think some people are too soft on themselves when they do miss them. But you need to, you know, there's times where you're going to have to miss it. Your dog dies. Okay. Your family's grieving. You're going to the hospital, things like that. That's a day where it's like, yeah, it's okay if I miss today. If you do get it in, great. But like a lot of young people, they let themselves go on their standards. And if it's not some crazy unattainable standard, find a way to hit your daily standard, or else you're hurting yourself.
Yeah, I love that point on confidence, right? Because confidence is like this confusing thing where a lot of kids or parents, I hear a lot say like, my kid just doesn't have confidence. Like it's a light switch that you can flick on when they walk in the rink or in the gym. Confidence doesn't work that way. Confidence comes from staying accountable to yourself. And so that's why the standards you set are things that little by little, inch by inch, every time you do it, you go, oh my God, I did it again. I did it again. I did it again. Pretty soon you're building that confidence almost unconsciously, to where like when pressure hits, when things really matter, when games are on the line, those are the players that typically shine in those moments because they have an internal confidence. They're not looking externally for like that switch that doesn't exist, right? So confidence comes from doing the things you said you would do over and over and over. And it's not sexy. Like you said, like getting better isn't sexy. It's not the highlight reel stuff all the time. Like, sure, there's a time and a place to work on things like that, skill and talent, and you can build on all of those. But you know, it's long game with short steps. It's long vision, short steps. Long vision, short steps. And that's truly where the confidence comes from. I
sometimes
believe that.
Sometimes it's going to be uncomfortable to hit your standards. I mean, you know, there's a joke in my family. I was always the last guy out of the locker room, and they'd be there waiting. And I said to him, like, look, I'm at this level because of the things that I do every day. And whether you're here or not, I'm doing those things. So like, I'm really sorry, but like, this is who I have to be at this level and be a player. And if I don't do these things, I'm hurting my confidence, knowing what I need to do to be able to play at this level. And I'm also hurting my development because these things are also developing me physically, emotionally, mentally, and things like that. You know, like I go work out on Christmas, and I'm not saying everybody needs to go work out on Christmas, but that was also like a thing that I could tell myself, no one else is working out today. Everyone is taking today off. I'm going to the gym. Like, so like you can also find these little things where it's like I would like my, and again, like both the guys on the call, listeners, are way better at hockey than me and way more skilled than me. Okay. But like I played at the same levels as them and probably played the most preseason NHL games on this podcast, not because I was more skilled than either one of you. I had 1/10 of each of your skill. But I have this, and yes, I did. Both of you see the game way better than me.
Yeah. I made
but I have this internal
team. I sucked at hockey.
I didn't say I sucked at hockey. I had to work.
Of the value.
Hey, if you put me versus you guys and somebody goes rate their skill, you guys are like 85, 90, and I'm like 50, 55. Skating, shooting, yep. Everything else, not great. But I was able to make up for it because I was able to reverse engineer me as a player and my positives and my negatives to my game. Well, what do I need to do to make up for those things? And I did not freaking miss my entire career. And that's why I was able to get to the levels that I did and play for 10 years professionally. And I love what you're doing. I love what we do on this podcast to help players figure out for them individually, what are your goals? Let's reverse engineer them. Now let's create steps, like you said, long, what did you say? Long game, but short steps?
Long vision, short steps. So
those short
big
steps.
Vision. You need that.
So important.
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret, with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
The secret is out. With millions of younger-looking customers across the country, Plexiderm is one of the most highly sought-after products on the market. It visibly shrinks under-eye bags and smooths out crow's feet in minutes, and the effects last up to 10 hours. Influencers love it, magazines feature it, and people just can't get enough of it. As a matter of fact, Elle Magazine gave it an Editor's Choice Award as Best Instant Wrinkle Filler for 2025. In as little as 10 minutes, Plexiderm reduces the appearance of fine lines, wrinkles, and those dreaded under-eye bags. So yes, you can look years younger in minutes, and the effects last for hours. No surgery, no gimmicks, just results. The best news, you can try Plexiderm for only $14.95. Plus, get free shipping. Don't wait. Order Plexiderm today. Visit plexiderm.com/special. That's plexiderm.com/special. Paid for by Sheer Science.
Let me ask you this, Fonzie, because I think this is relevant, particularly for guys like us who are very, very hard on themselves. And I heard something about consistency that I thought was really good perspective. And they talked about consistency in a way that like actual consistency actually isn't the most important thing. The best thing that you need to be consistent at is when you're not consistent, getting back to your consistency, if that makes any sense. So like you're for people, especially that are really hard on themselves, that fall off the wagon for a day, for a week, for a month, whatever it may be. You know, you have these, especially when you are pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone, and you set these really high standards for yourself for the things that you need to do every day. That's really, really hard to be 100% at. And so, you know, hearing, I can't even remember who it was that said it, but they were like, it's not about the actual doing of the thing every day. It's the, when you don't do it, how quickly can you get back into that routine? And I just thought that was really, for me, as somebody that's hard on themselves, it's like a great way to get back to your equilibrium, which could, you know, set yourself up for doing things in the right way.
Yeah, I think one line that I've heard, and I use it all the time, in a lot of my speeches too, is like, the path never leaves, we leave the path, right? And like, if you imagine in a forest, there's a path. oftentimes, something that comes up or you miss a day and you kind of wander into the woods a little bit. The path didn't leave. The path is still back there. You just have to get back on the path and keep going.
Yeah.
It's something that's really helped me too. And still, like, all three of us are still learning and growing and evolving and trying to get better at our own crafts nowadays, right? And it doesn't matter if you're a young athlete or you're 40 trying to build a new business. Like, the path is always there. The standards are there. The commitment to it is there. But there are going to be things that come up where you kind of weave and bob and you have to be able to pick yourself up. Oh, shit. Okay, let's go back on the path and just keep going. Whereas when I was a younger player, I would just wander through the woods being like, I know there's another path over here. Like, there's like some secret door that would cut off half that. No, it doesn't work that way. You got to go back to where you left the path and then keep going. And so I think it's like, it's always there. What happens is we leave. And the thing is too, is we know internally, like, everyone knows. I always challenge the athletes I work with, like, if you're doing it or not, if you're living up to your capabilities and you're pushing and you're making yourself uncomfortable and you're, pushing those boundaries, you always know. Right. And so it's really that mirror test. You got to get good at looking yourself in the mirror and saying, I'm not doing enough. Because I think a lot of times it's like, well, they didn't do it. I didn't play enough. Coach doesn't like me. No, it isn't. It always comes back to, what am I doing? And I think the best athletes I've ever been around, it always starts with them and what they're bringing to the table. And like I said, the path never leaves. We leave the path.
Love that. And I like what you said at the end there too, because I think about all the elite players that I've been around, whether it was coaching them or whether it was playing with them. And I always say there's two consistencies of the truly elite that I've been around. Number one is they absolutely love hockey, right? They love the game of hockey. And the second one is they take ownership for everything that they do. Literally take ownership. It's never anybody else's fault. There's never excuses. It's okay. What did I do? And now I need to do something different to get better. Like, it's on me. And with that, let me ask you this, because when we talk about setting these standards and being consistent with them, there's two things that I think can really help us, especially when you talk about going off the path and then kind of getting back on. It's very hard to be so self-disciplined to just do it yourself. Like, you need somebody there to coach you or compete with or something like that. And so when it comes to being consistent, I always thought two things were really important. Number one was having an accountability partner, an accountability buddy, somebody that you compete with. Hey, what are your standards for today? Okay, here are mine. Let's text each other at the end of the day to make sure that we did it. A little bit of a positive peer pressure with a teammate, with a sibling. Maybe you're fortunate enough to hire a coach to be able to do that for you, but having some accountability structure, I think, is really, really important. But the other thing, and Vex sent me some stuff that you were doing that I wanted to ask you about, and I think it relates to this, is, I've read, and different studies will show you that when you write it down and check it off, you're way more apt to do the thing that you say you're going to do than if it's just in your head. So actually having a journal or a notebook or something to document where you're writing it down, maybe you keep it on your bedside table, maybe it's, on your iPhone, whatever it may be, but just a stark reminder of this is the thing, and I got to actually physically check it off that I've done it at the end of the day. And so I wanted to ask you about that one, because I know you're big on journaling and reflection and writing things down. You are a voracious leader, or a reader, I should say, and leader. Now it sounds like too. So what are your thoughts on that? Just the reflection piece. And when you're setting your goals and your standards, just, having it written down, Vex, he talks a lot about the podcast. It's like he puts stuff on notepads, or not notepads, Post-its, and posts around his house, as constant reminders, that visual. So wanted to ask your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's funny. Vex and I were texting about this yesterday, actually, but I am huge on that. I found journaling to be so impactful for myself. The sheer fact of getting it out of your brain and onto a piece of paper is so therapeutic for so many ways. I'm not a scientist, never try to be, but so good for you to get it out of your brain, get it off this sort of wheel that always sort of spins if you're trying to strive and do something. You know, we all have felt that before, right? I'm a huge believer in whiteboards. I'm a huge whiteboard guy. I have like little whiteboards. My kids have whiteboards in their bedrooms. I have whiteboard right before I leave, walking out of my room. And I'm always putting different things on there, reminders to myself, you know, little affirmations. Yeah, bingo. Like they're everywhere. You know, downstairs in our basement, we got a little gym or whatever. And like my kids have a section where they go down there, they do something, they write it down, they check it off. Like it helps you sort of like stay on that path of writing things down. I'm a huge believer in that. I think every athlete should have a notebook. It doesn't have to be like, you know, January 30th at 8:13, I feel lonely. That's not the journaling I'm talking about. It's more of like, where are you at? I think reading and getting quiet is like, there's, I can't remember who said it, but like when you get quiet, you can hear the whisper of your own sort of passions and intentions. And I think we live in a really loud world, right? Like we got distractions everywhere. We got, social media, TV, everything. It's loud. We really struggle to get quiet. And you know, a test I like to do with people is say, like, can you sit 10 minutes on the end of your bed, dark room, just by yourself? Just sit there for 10 minutes. I promise you, the first time you do it, you will be so uncomfortable. A minute and a half in, you're like, oh, I got to go to the bathroom. Oh, I'm supposed to do this. I got to change the laundry. I got to go do, because your brain is used to just, you know, all this instant stuff, where once you train it to get a little bit quiet, get a little bit intentional about like, how do I really feel today? Where do I really want to go today? What really matters today? What's really going to move the needle? What's the one thing I can do to get closer to where I say I want to go? You can only do those things if you're still and quiet. So I think like the journaling piece is huge because it forces that sort of stillness and thought process, but it's also about like shutting everything out and just sort of doing that check-in daily. And then, like I said, I'm a huge whiteboard. Like I got whiteboards everywhere.
I love that.
And
I'm
they got
putting them on all my
messages on
kids'
them.
doors.
Yeah. It's huge. It's helped me a ton.
Talking about quieting the mind, man, I think it's even more important now than it was when we were in our careers because of the social media. I mean, I just know, like, without a shadow of a doubt, 100%, I wish somebody could like attach electrodes to me or something and test my brain, because like social media is a big part of my business. It's also a big part of, I like to help people. I want to help as many people as I can. And I realized, well, social media is the easiest way to do that, because you can put out a message and it can go out to 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 people. Right. And so like, I love that. But what I notice is, man, the days where I'm on my phone a lot, answering DMs, making a post, answering people who have questions on the post, email answering, text message clients, and I'm on that freaking device all day. My heart rate is elevated all day. I feel sick to my stomach at the end of the day. My energy gets completely zapped, even if I don't do a whole lot of physical stuff. So I think in today's world with kids, I mean, I just watched some brain doc, super smart guy testifying in front of Congress about all these studies that are coming out now over the last 20 years, looking back to the 90s about education and the brain and children and things like that, and how bad it is to have computers in school. Like all these things about screens, it's killing kids' brains. All of our scores are going down. They changed the way that the SAT reading comprehension is done so that it doesn't make it look like our kids aren't able to comprehend passages that they're reading. They changed the SAT so it didn't look as bad because of how these brains are being formed. So quieting of the mind in today's world for these young kids, I think it's one of the most important skills we can teach. And also, when I was playing in Japan, I had actually a Canadian coach. He was a coach for the Oilers. He coached in the NHL, the AHL, I think CIS as well. Unbelievable guy. He was huge into meditation. and he helped me get into meditation. And my entire career, my whole life, I've had to nap a lot. I think part of that is sleep apnea, and then my nose breaking a bunch messed me up with sleep and stuff. But he got me into meditation, and I started doing it every day in Japan, and I didn't need to nap anymore. And this was only 10 minutes a day. I would take an hour and a half or a 3-hour nap every single day from 17 years old until when I played in Japan. I think I was 29 and 30 or 30 and 31. I didn't need to nap anymore. And a big part of it was like the energy that I got from quieting my mind for 10 minutes. It blew my mind, absolutely blew my mind. I couldn't agree with you more here.
Yeah, I'm a huge believer in meditation too. I think it's sort of that second step is you got to learn how to do it on your own in terms of like getting quiet, getting intentional, getting clear, trying to hear that whisper like I talk about. And then that meditation is that level 2 where it'll fundamentally change the way you view your daily life once you get good at it, once you practice it. It's just like anything else, right? But if you try to jump into like right away trying to meditate without a good sort of leader or teacher, it can be off-putting, I think. And like I've had a lot of people like, yeah, I tried it a couple times.
It's like yoga too.
Like, well, because you were on Instagram and then you went to YouTube and tried to go like this. It doesn't work that way. Your brain's still going a million miles an hour, right? I think getting outside is huge too. Like fresh air, sunlight, grounding, feeling the ground. Like, and I don't want to get too
hippie, but you are out there in the woods.
Listen,
you're a hippie, bro.
Listen, yeah, I will attest to this, guys. So like I just what you guys are talking about, I think, and I do it quite a bit now, but like exercising with no headphones in, try it. Yeah. Anybody that's out there, like go for a run, do some sort of aerobic exercise, treadmill, Stairmaster, whatever it may be. Do it with no podcast, no music, nothing like that, just nothing in your ears, and do it for just a couple days and tell me how that goes. Because I swear, I got my job at Cornell because I went for a run with no headphones on. I went for a run, and like no joke, I went for a run. I got all these awesome ideas in my head. I just got done with my graduate assistantship at Miami. The coaches at Cornell had just left, and I was like, I don't know if Shafe would take a first-year guy, whatever. And I went for a run, and I had all these ideas, and all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go for it. Like, let's do it. And so I like wrote him like a Jerry Maguire freaking email, like who's coming
Show
with
me the money
type thing. Yeah.
Show me the money.
And I emailed him. I'm like, I'm the right person for the job. Like I love Cornell. Like this is my, like, I got to get this job, and I don't know if that email had anything to do with it, but I obviously got hired for Cornell. And had I not gone on that run with no headphones, like, I don't know if I email Shafe. And then if I don't email Shafe, I don't know if I get that job. And so like and even business wise, I've got some of my best ideas from exercising with no headphones in. And so when you talk about quieting the mind, like, yes, it can be the quiet, the meditation, all that kind of stuff. But I also think on the other end too, like, try exercising without a podcast or without music. Like, it is so powerful. So I got to get back to doing more of that.
Yeah, I am 1,000,000% in line with that. I agree. The same thing has happened in my life. Some of my best ideas have come from runs or just walking outside. Like when I'm super, super, super in my head, stressed about something, struggling with something, and I force myself to go outside and just walk a lot of times. It's insane how much, like, just moving your body, being outside, the ideas and the things that will just come into your brain versus you trying to chase what's the right thing I should do. It's going to come to you. Just
a great way of putting it. You got
to kind of get out of your own way. And I think walking, being outside is huge. And yeah, I'm such a huge believer in that.
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret, with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
Look at him, eating whatever he wants, never gaining a pound. While I'm stuck with the boring special and can't lose an ounce.
How's your lunch, man?
Amazing. Yours?
So good.
Oh, I'm so happy for you.
Cool, buddy.
Weight loss isn't fair, but Mochi Health is. The affordable GLP-1 source that can fix your frustration with food.
So, same time next week?
No!
Definitely.
And your friends. Learn more at joinmochi.com. Mochi members have access to licensed physicians and nutritionists. Results may vary.
The secret is out. With millions of younger-looking customers across the country, Plexiderm is one of the most highly sought-after products on the market. It visibly shrinks under eye bags and smooths out crow's feet in minutes, and the effects last up to 10 hours. Influencers love it, magazines feature it, and people just can't get enough of it. As a matter of fact, Elle Magazine gave it an Editor's Choice Award as Best Instant Wrinkle Filler for 2025. In as little as 10 minutes, Plexiderm reduces the appearance of fine lines, wrinkles, and those dreaded under-eye bags. So yes, you can look years younger in minutes, and the effects last for hours. No surgery, no gimmicks, just results. The best news, you can try Plexiderm for only $14.95. Plus, get free shipping. Don't wait. Order Plexiderm today. Visit plexiderm.com/special. That's plexiderm.com/special. Paid for by Sheer Science.
Let me just very quickly go back to the meditation, because you touched on something saying, it's hard, and a lot of young people have told you it's hard for me to do that. For me, it's still hard for me to meditate on my own. I've always used the app Headspace. It's an unbelievable app. It's guided meditation, and anybody that I have said, hey, I want you to meditate, and then they come back to me if they're like, oh, I couldn't do it, my thoughts were racing, I'm like, that's totally normal. I'm telling you guys, write this down, Headspace. I have nothing to do with them, no affiliation.
I have Calm. Calm is good too.
Is it good? Yeah. Basically, it's somebody who's got a very calming voice. They're speaking, monotone, and just kind of guiding you through. And they're like, and if your mind wanders, this is how you bring it back. And it's like anything else. You're not going to be good at anything new. You weren't good at hockey the first time you stepped on the ice. It's going to be practice, but no, it's going to help you.
Yeah, totally agree. I've used both those apps, and they're fantastic, both of them. Yeah.
So how do you help kids to understand the value in the things that we're talking about right now? And I guess the lens I want to ask you this in, Fonzie, is, kids are very scheduled and structured nowadays. And I don't think there's enough time where kids can just be bored. And you look at a lot of the studies that I'm reading and a lot of the things that I'm hearing, and just in podcasts from people who are way smarter than the three of us, is one of the best ways for kids to develop creativity is just to be bored, man. And so just figure it out. How we got a lot of hockey parents that listen to our podcast. How would you go about, advising parents on how to navigate this phenomenon in an overly structured, overly scheduled world that we all live in? What can we do as parents, and what can kids do to really learn the value of the stuff that we're talking about, being still, having a blank slate, going for a walk, all this kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think great question. I think number one, and the thing I talk to parents about is is it you or your kid that wants what you say they want? That's number one. Because if we're always trying to tell a kid, hey, this is why you need to do it, this is what you need to do, this is how you need to do it, you're suffocating the creativity out of them, right? So I think number one, it has to come from the kid. It is the biggest thing, is and there's a ton of kids that love the game, love the sport. Okay, one way you could do it is you put 30 minutes on the schedule and say, go practice, go do whatever you want to do, but it's 30 minutes. You're not going to tell them you got to go shoot 100 pucks. You got to go stick handle for 10. Go do whatever you want. Go out in the snowbank and practice hitting the snowbank. Like it doesn't matter, but you're letting them come up with, and sometimes they're going to do stupid drills or stupid, and they're going to be working on something ridiculous. That's okay. That is okay for them to go out and, but I think like too often we try to control the board time by telling them what to go do. And I think that the more that we can say, hey, here's open time for you to go be creative and go have fun, go make something up, go, I think like that's a good way to sort of try to like help them get that creativity. Like I have sort of like 4 pillars of success that I think every athlete, great athlete I've been around possess, and they're discipline, imagination, process, and a purpose, like a big why. But I'll go back to imagination for a second, which is the creativity muscle, right? I think imagination has gotten stifled. A lot 100%. Of these kids are so structured, are so from one team to the other team, to racing them to this practice, to that practice, to this game, they don't have any time to have an imagination of like I used to sit in my room and be like, oh my, like I would look at posters of Steve Yzerman and Fedorov and Bure, and then I'd go out in my driveway and my rollerblades, and I know it's like a different time, and I don't want to sound like back in our day it was yes, it is different now, and that's fine, it's good. But athletes are evolving so fast. I think physically they're faster, they're stronger, but this thing is the most powerful tool that you will ever possess.
The mind.
And if you don't understand how to like see what you want to get one day, you're never going to get it. Like, and that's all imagination. That's creativity. That's believing. And so I think like one thing that I really, really hammer home is like, an imagination sometimes gets looped into like, oh, Disney movie stuff. Like, oh, that's stupid. No, it's not. Be goofy. Have an imagination and develop that sort of like creativity. That's a muscle that like, I think a lot of times when we're racing kids to 17 different teams and sports and practices and games and have this, eat this, have that, they don't have any time to be creative. So I think like, I believe you too, like on the boredom side. And listen, we're parents, we get it. Like it's taught, we had a snow day, I don't know, last week here, we got hammered with a bunch of snow, and like, our kids are inside. We kicked them out, and they were like, well, what do we do? We're like, we don't care, but you're outside for the next hour. Right. And pretty soon they built like an igloo, and like they found shovels I didn't even know I had. Like they found a way to kind of get on board, right? So kids are amazing that way, and they will do it, but you have to like loosen the reins a little bit and give them some freedom to explore. I think is huge. And the imagination piece I think is missing with a lot of our young athletes, and it comes from, I don't want to say poor parenting, but parents want what's best for their kid most times, right? A lot of times they don't understand that they're sort of stifling some of these like really important muscles that the kid needs to go through. And the lessons they need to go through on their own, they want to always like pull them back and help them avoid that challenge or that. No. It can be tough as a parent to watch them struggle, but the struggle is what's going to make them stronger in the long run. And so you kind of have to learn to do it that way.
Dude, I want to talk about imagination a little bit, because for me, like that even before you said the word, I was like going to ask you about it because I like agree. God, I agree so much with that. And it's funny. I remember having a conversation with my grandma once, and she was talking about the value of radio growing up, in the 40s and the 50s. There wasn't TV. They just had the radio, and how much that stimulated imagination because you're hearing a story, but you're the one that's putting the picture to the story, and everybody's is unique. But I think about, you mentioned in your room with Yzerman and Bure posters, like how many times I can even think about being Steve Yzerman in my basement, playing
100%.
against Wayne Gretzky, another buddy of mine. And then Patrick Waugh was in the net, and you imagine yourself out on the ice, playing for a Stanley Cup and things like that. And it was really interesting because we do this thing, Hockey Think Tank U. It's kind of like an extra add-on thing to what we do with the Hockey Think Tank. It's this big community that we've created, and every month we have like a monthly masterclass where we have somebody from the hockey world come on. And I brought my dad on this past week, and it was really interesting because one of the people that was in the call asked my dad, I was a good player growing up, like how did you help to support blah 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 blah, and we talked a lot about it. And then I was like, Dad, you forgot one really, really important thing. And he was like, well, what? And I was like, you know how many times you came down in the basement and played hockey with me? And you played goalie, and you were Patrick Waugh and I was Wayne Gretzky, and there was unstructured, and we just that's where I fell in love with the game of hockey. Like having some moments with my dad down in the basement, just being imaginative and playing for the Stanley Cup. I think that, God, there's so much power in that, guys. Like everybody, there's so much power. People ask me, as parents, what can we best do to support my kid? I want them to fall in love with the game. Great. Go play knee hockey with them. Great. Mm-hmm. Go in the basement, go in the driveway, have these memorable moments with your kid where it's fun and they're falling in love with it and you're growing your relationship with it. It's not the car ride home. It's not the lessons, that you pay $120 for. It's not just go have a shooting competition with them in the basement, or go take breakaways from them while they're playing roller hockey in the street. That is the stuff because that brings out the imagination, that brings out the creativity. And what do all, if we're getting to the brass tacks of it, even if you are a crazy person who wants their son or daughter to play it in the Olympics or the NHL, you got to have imagination and creativity, and you got to be able to make plays and think outside the box to be able to do it. So anytime you can exercise that muscle, like you're talking about, is an absolute win for development. It's an absolute win, more importantly, for mental health. And when you said imagination, man, my head went, I so agree with you in so many ways.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, one example in my own life was my daughter. She played AAU basketball last year, right? She plays all winter on our town travel, and she played AAU, but she wanted to try. She's still young, right? And I'm a huge believer in play a bunch of sports. She wanted to try playing lacrosse this year, but it's sort of the same time as when she played AAU basketball last year. And so we had this big, she felt like if I don't do that, I'm not going to be able to get better. And so we had to have sort of this conversation around getting better doesn't mean traveling all over the place and being all crazy busy and going to these different and playing in 100 different games. You can get better every day. By doing 20 minutes of dribbling and shooting in the driveway, you can get better without the madness. And I think a lot of the culture we live in now, no matter the sport, it has become if I'm not on that team, I'm missing out. I'm not going to get better. Bullshit. That's complete garbage. And I actually believe that a lot of young players would benefit from not playing on 14 teams in a season. Take a few months off. Get better. You can still get better. Stick handle a golf ball every day for 20 minutes and go play a sport you don't know anything about. And you will still get better. So I think I'm such a firm believer in trying different things, having a consistent, she wants to be a great basketball player. Great. It doesn't mean that for 2.5 months you have to go play on this team that goes all over the place. That's okay. We'll still get better. Here, let's just develop a plan and a strategy. And if you're committed to it, you'll still get better. You probably even get better than you will if you do the other thing. So I think like it's hard to say no to some things today too, because you do feel like you're gonna miss out. My kid's gonna miss out. Oh, there's that opportunity. It's like, step back, 20,000-foot view. Whoa, where are we at here? What are we really trying to do? And then you kind of help them, like we were talking about earlier, get creative, get consistent, and you'd be amazed how much better you can get. But you don't need all this fancy stuff to get better. Like
Toph talks about it all the time, the FOMO that it's usually parents. I mean, yeah, the kids, as they get a little older, they can feel it too. But it's like you said, basketball, hockey, lacrosse, whatever sport you're playing, it's not just doing that thing all the time that's going to make you better. There's tons of other ways to get better. Working on sprinting, take a track class or work with a track coach, or you're going to have fun challenging yourself in new ways and things like that. You're going to learn new skills. You know, you save money by not playing on 14 teams, like you said, and maybe you hire a nutritionist to have a meeting with your son or daughter and just talk about, hey, food is your fuel. Like food is health. Health is wealth. You know, all these things. There's so many ways inside of every sport of things that you can be doing to get better. You as a parent, you know, use your imagination and tell them there's no one way to get there, because every single pro athlete says that in every sport over and over and over. But for some reason, the FOMO is just like, it's like the kryptonite. It's just like, I've got to sign up for 6 teams.
You know what it is though, too? Like, there's a reality to the situation, right? Like you look at what development should look like, and you look at the reality of what the world is in youth sports nowadays, and you have to find a way in the confines that we have of this businessification of youth sports to really bring the game back to the kids. And I like to think of it in like a pendulum, right? So like when we were younger, there was a little bit of, like, you think about defining training, right? Like there was a little bit of like strength coach stuff. There was a little bit of like, skills coach or things like that, but you didn't do a ton of that. And then that started to become a little bit more mainstream, which was actually a good thing, because now that we got a lot more skilled hockey players, you know, and it is good. You're getting reps and things like that. But the pendulum, I feel like, has moved so much towards that individualistic kind of like quote unquote training, the journey, the path. It's all about the, you know, all that stuff. And we've lost, you know, what we had kind of growing up, which was that imagination, that unstructured play, right? And so the pendulum, I think we're at a point where it's probably going to swing back a little bit that way, because everybody's getting a little sick and tired with the youth sports, like industry complex, whatever you want to call it now. And so there is a happy medium because repetition is good, you know, outside of your coaching is good, things like that. But the pendulum has swung so far that way that it's stifling some of the things that are really important for our kids. And I would just encourage all parents to just kind of think about that pendulum and how far it's swinging one way or the other, and finding the right balance. And it's going to be different, right? Like, you're in New England, man. Like that pendulum is like, you know, if it's 1 to 10, it's at a 30 as far as, you know, the individual kind of like craziness. But the imagination piece, I want people to really take that to heart, what Fonzie's saying here, because we need a lot more of that, and not just for, you know, the growth and development of our kids as athletes, but I really think that quietness, that imagination, everything we've talked about over the past 20 minutes is such a, like, we got a mental health crisis here too. Like, that's going to help with that too.
Something that I read literally yesterday, and I sent it to my wife. It said something, it was talking about like toddlers, because our daughter is 16 months old right now. And like, she always wants mommy, and like always wants mommy. Mommy's, you know, here 90% of the time with her. And I'm sure that's obviously most kids, and that's a great thing. But it was saying, when you see your young child playing, like, I have an instinct, it's the coach in me. When she like does something new, I'm like, yay, and clapping. And then she'll look at me and she starts clapping, but she stops playing. And I'm like excited because now she's interacting with me, but she stops playing. She stops learning. She stops tinkering. And what this study had said was that they found that Velcro babies, when the child is playing and parents try to do that, thinking it's like a good thing, like, oh, you learned a new skill, let's positively reinforce that. it takes their vision and their focus off of their imagination and playing and tinkering and learning. And now what that's going to do moving forward, if you're constantly doing that, is they're not really fully focused and immersed in what they're doing, which means they're not learning the new skills because they're always doing something. And then like, is mom and dad watching? Are they going to clap for me? Now they're looking for the clapping and the love instead of building these new skills, physical, brain and stuff like that. And that's why it starts to become like a Velcro type of baby. And I was just like, wow, like, okay, super interesting. And that's kind of going along with what we're talking about just at the younger stages of development.
Jeez, Vex, you're stifling your kid.
What an idiot. What an idiot trying to love my daughter.
There was a study done, and I'm going to butcher it. So I probably shouldn't even say this, but like, it was a study of some sorts where, and I'm not a mom, so I hate like talking about women stuff because I don't live that life. But like, stay-at-home moms interact with their kids less than moms who work. And the reason why is they call it like mom guilt. A mom who works, when they get back home, they feel guilty for, not being around. And so every waking moment that their kid is awake, they want to interact with them. They want to teach them. And it's all like with really good intentions, right? Like I'm putting in my time with my kid. I'm trying to raise my kid in the right way. But it's just really interesting that they look at the amount of time, and the mom who is the stay-at-home mom allows their kid a lot more to try things, and there's not as much supervision and stuff like that. It was a really interesting study, and I butchered it, and I maybe I shouldn't have even said that story, but it's kind of like what we're talking about. Like you have to let your kids be. In fact, you're a terrible dad. Does that make sense though? Like
totally.
Like and I feel like we live in this day and age right now where like as parents, and we're all parents now, so we have to fight this urge, kind of like curate our kids' lives and feel like we are the ones that are like the sole person that's going to determine where our kids are going to go. When in reality, like the more we do that, the less it's going to be their path, and the less they're going to fall in love with what they want to do. And it just like, but it is hard as a parent, man. Like we want what's best for our kids, and we just sometimes the best thing that we can do is just kind of take a step back, let them be.
Yeah. It really is. And it's hard. Like I'm guilty of it too. Like, you want what's best for them, but you also need to let them sort of fall down. Right. Like, I know my son last year in football, and not only him, like the whole kind of team, they're young kids, they're 9 and 10 years old. They're learning about like what toughness is. Like you get hit, like, man, yeah, that hurts. And like, you want to, like, your instinct is to be like, oh man, I don't want you to feel that hurt. I don't want you to feel that, but you have to kind of just be like, oh man, I know it sucks. It hurts. But like, what you're going to learn is tomorrow you're going to feel good, or you're going to feel better, and you're going to get healthier. That bruise isn't going to hurt as much later. Like, so there's different lessons that they go through that your instinct as a parent is to want to pull them out and try to like skip that for them. But that's the worst thing we can do. Like, you kind of have to watch and be that sort of sounding board and almost friend to them to say, hey, like I know that was a tough game today, wasn't it? Like that was tough. Hey, but that's going to happen. How do you bounce back from it? How do you react to it? How do you learn from it and then move on and be better next time? And so it's definitely challenging as a parent. But I think like the biggest thing is it's their journey. It's their journey, and we have to take a step back and yes, be supportive. Yes, be, the one to wake up early and drive them if they want to go, and like be that support system. Like I'm sure all of us had, like we had great parents that supported our dreams and was a big reason why we all got to where we got to. You need that, right? But you also can't, it's not up to you. Like, you know, and we heard this growing up, like, if you're good enough, you'll make it, you can make it from anywhere. Like, it's true. It's still true today in this crazy digital world we live. Like, if you're good enough, they'll find you. Right. And so it's not up to the parent. Like, you have nothing to do with it. It's about, you know, being that sort of support system, but also helping them develop the gritty skills that are necessary as you move up in sports. Like, you gotta be tough. You gotta have some mental toughness there, and you can't pull your kid out when it gets tough. Like, that's the worst thing you can do.
I think there's no better illustration of that than not calling the coach for your child.
Oh.
Teaching them, you can hold their hand and teach them how to go through that, you know, and you know, I had a video on Instagram where I was giving a speech to a couple local teams a few months ago that blew up on Instagram. And it was me talking about that. The best thing that my mom or dad did for me as a kid was when I barely played my first year AAA. At the end of the year, my mom, we had a conversation, and she said, you need to go in and talk to coach. This is what I would do if I was you. You don't have to, but if you want to play on this team next year, you should grab a notebook. You should go in. You should ask him questions like these. It's going to be scary. It's going to be hard. And I was super, super wimpy and afraid of authority figures for whatever reason when I was a kid. When I get sent to the principal, you know, got in a couple fights in like elementary school, I was so nervous to get in trouble. Like, I was just who I was, you know, for whatever reason. So I was like nervous, you know, I'm sweating thinking about that conversation I had with my coach at the end of 7th grade year. But that really, really, really was a pivotal moment in both my hockey career and my life, because it was the first time that I really, like, I had to go in and do it. I had to go ask the tough questions. I had to have a tough conversation, kind of why I didn't play a lot, you know, and here, this is what you need to work on and what you're not great at, Jeff. And at 7th grade, it was really hard. But that moment literally changed my hockey career. And when I look back on my career, that was probably the most pivotal moment in my hockey career, because I took what he told me and I worked on it every single day, and my career went straight north from there. So
I've sent that to so many people, Vex.
That's awesome.
Like, honestly, and it's so important. I love that you brought that up, because the amount of times that, like, you got to learn that ownership piece, right? And you got to learn that mirror test and that uncomfortable feeling of, oh man, like, maybe I'm not quite as good as I want to be yet, right? There's always a yet. Like, you hear a lot of kids, oh, I can't. I don't like when kids are swearing on my teams or whatever, but if they say can't, I lose my mind.
Oh.
Like, lose my mind, because if you are saying that, right, like, your subconscious is hearing it, and like, you've already lost. Like, if you say can't, like in my house, my kid's not like, don't you dare say that word. You can say, I can't do that yet. But if there's no yet at the end of it, then you got a big issue. But a lot of parents, why isn't my kid playing? Why isn't this playing? Why isn't he's fast? He's strong. He's this, he's that. Well, are you there at practice when he's late, or when he doesn't show up, or when he doesn't do the drill right, or when no, you're not seeing the whole picture. You're seeing it through a lens of, you know, I call it the Bo Jackson syndrome. Like, there's so many parents who think their kid is Bo Jackson, when no one's Bo Jackson. There's no elite 8-year-old. I don't care what you say. There's super talented 8-year-olds. Absolutely. But this whole sort of concept of, like, my kid is special, we'll see. And if you keep getting in the way of them going through those uncomfortable obstacles and that discomfort, your kid's not even going to be playing at 16 years old, because they'll quit, because they've never had to go through those hard moments.
Awesome.
So I
Awesome.
love that message, and I've sent that to so many people.
Appreciate that.
Okay, Vex, you are a good parent. You're good.
We take it back. You're good.
Well, that was my mom. That was my mom who was the good parent. I'm trying to learn from mom, and I know she's listening to this.
You're helping parents out, though. So
yeah, she's listening to this, and I love you, mom. Thank
so
you. You are the best.
I want to go back to that study because it's been in my head while you guys were talking, and I had to look it up. And so I'm going to read this. This is from Forbes magazine. It's about 10 years ago now, so it's a little dated, but what they write is the most important thing I've read recently is this University of Maryland study that found the pressure to spend so much quality time with children stresses moms out so much that it may actually make us worse parents than if we just focused our time on making more money and less on frontal lobe development and deep connection with our children. Because guess what? It doesn't matter that much how much time you spend with your kids. Quote unquote, how does the amount of time mothers spend with children matter? That's like the name of the article. Authors found that the pressure to spend so much quality time with their children means all parents, working and stay at home, schedule both professional and housework around the children's activities to maximize this presumed critical time together at the detriment to all parties' emotional well-being. So I like just really, really interesting stuff. Like I wanted to make sure because that's something I needed to get right. So there was a University of Maryland study that went through that. And I think it goes along with everything that we're talking about right now. Like giving your kids the space to fail and do the hard. Yeah.
Yeah. And it goes back to quality over quantity, right? Like there's a certain amount of hours, yes, quantity that you have to put in. But if you put in 500 unintentional, kind of sloppy 500 hours versus 200 like super, super intentional, like quality hours, I would argue that the quality is going to beat the quantity every single time, right? And so that's another thing I'm huge on is it's not about, I was in the gym for 3.5 hours today. Cool. What did you do? Like, I would rather have someone be in the gym for 35 minutes that were like the right 35 minutes, right? Like, the quality of your practice, the quality of your nutrition, the quality of your diet. Yes, your food, but like your feed, what you're reading, what you're listening to, like quality matters so much. And I think it's hard in this busy, crazy, instant digital world that we're in now, but there's a way to sort of navigate it if you're intentional about it.
Yeah. And quality time spent with people is big too. And that's, I think, something like the three of us, we're all entrepreneurs. We're dedicated. We're, so passionate about what we do. And I think about just like the quality versus quantity, because for so long as a parent, I always thought that quantity was the most important with my kids. Why I left college coaching, like I thought I needed to be more available, at home. But then I realized like, if I'm not doing something that I'm passionate about, my quality time that I have with my kids when I'm home, like it's not as good because I'm not as good as a person. Yeah. And same thing, like as workaholics, like, you're always on your phone or your mind's always somewhere else. When you're with your kids, it's like 10 to 15 minutes of like really quality time. Like there's time, like I'll lay with my oldest before she goes to bed for like 10 minutes sometimes. It's the best part of my day. Yeah. Best part of her day is just 10 minutes and she just blabs and blabs and blabs about what went on in that day. And I'm learning so much about her and I'm learning so much of like, we're just connecting. And like, if I had nothing else but that 10 minutes, like that's a great day as far as my development with my relationship with my daughter, as opposed to like 2 hours of like us watching TV and not talking to each other or, whatever it may be. And man, like, I don't know, maybe just like as you get older and you have more life experiences, you really start to understand and learn that, quality over quantity is a real thing. Like it really makes a difference. I don't know what you guys think about that, but
no, dude, I mean, making me emotional because I'm thinking about my time with my daughter. My favorite time of day is when I'm able to be home and put my daughter down to sleep and we're sitting in the dark, and she's only 16 months, right? So we're sitting in the dark. I can't even see her. She's cuddling on me and I just start going over the words she knows. And I can hear in her voice, she's so excited. Doggy, 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 and It's and what's wild is like when I started doing this with her about, I don't know, probably about a little less than 2 months ago, the amount of words that she's been saying since has grown tremendously. And it's not something I'm doing with her all day because I'm out working, I'm doing whatever. But we just started doing this thing, and for whatever reason, I started noticing that she liked it. And it's about 10 minutes where we just go through all the words, and then I try new words with her, and she starts to pick them up, and I can feel her smiling on my shoulder, and it is the best 10 minutes of my whole day, my whole week, anytime I get to do it, and I'm with her, and she's doing that, and because of that, it's only 10 minutes out of the whole day, 24 hours, and she's saying way more new words lately when we started doing this. So
I'm going to tell Kylie that you're taking credit for her vocabulary. And
no, Kylie is super mom. She's up there right now. I can hear her. She is super mom. But that 10 minutes for me is the best 10 minutes of my whole day.
Can you say mama?
And I just keep saying to her over and over, dada, dada, dada's the best.
I think 2 of my kids, their first word was dada. You ever see those things on social media where the mom is like, say mama, and then the baby goes dada.
So good.
I like it. Well, this certainly took a pretty cool tangent, guys, as far as like, man, we're just opening up about like the coolness and the stress of being parents, man. And that's right, though. Like, we got a lot of parents that like there is no more rewarding, but also more stressful, hard job in the world than being a parent, and that starts at like birth all the way through. Like, Fonz, you got like what, 12 is your oldest?
Yeah.
Crazy stuff to go through, all the maturation and the ups and downs, and just there's no freaking manual too. That's why my parents always used to tell me growing up, there's no manual for this. Like, I don't know. They're like, I don't know like what I'm doing half the time that I'm doing things. And it's so true.
Yeah. So true. It's the best though. It really is.
Well, thanks so much for your time here. Before we let you go, do want to ask you, so you got some fun things coming out. You're coaching, and you got these things. Vex sent me some of the stuff that you're doing yesterday, and just looks really, really cool. So if you can, just talk to our listeners for a second about just what you're up to and where they can find some more of the things that you're doing.
Yeah, no, first of all, I mean, I love this, boys. This was a great combo, and appreciate you guys having me on. My coaching business is MFPC, so Matt Fornataro Performance Coaching. And really it's all about the mental side of the game. I've built sort of like this blueprint mindset fundamentals system that, it was birthed, I think, in coaching a lot of the youth sports that I have over the past 4 or 5 years. And seeing, a lot of these kids struggle with the same things: confidence, body language, just getting completely wrecked after one mistake, pressure from parents. And, so I took all of that into account and sort of built a program or a system that I think is like really fundamental, that I think, anyone from 10, 11 years old on could benefit from. So I've been doing that. I've been doing a lot of speaking to different groups, and those messages are pretty simple. It's like, be a fountain, not a drain, right? Like, when you come in a room, you have a choice. Are you a fountain? Are you feeding the room? Or are you a drain? Are you taking away the energy in the room, right? Like, these are little things that you can remind yourself of all the time. Like, TNT, all the things that take no talent. Like, how do you be the best at that? Vex, you talk about how you weren't a good hockey player. That's BS too. You were a great hockey player, but you were fantastic at all of those things, right? So I think there's a lot of great in youth sports. There's a lot of great things going on in youth sports. I think athletes are better than they've ever been, which is really exciting. But I think the mental piece and the mindset that it takes over the long haul is really, really important piece. And I'm just trying to, give back to sports and to obviously the hockey world, and that gave me so much. So it's exciting. I started a newsletter too, Vex, and has inspired me a little bit. I've been writing a lot for a long time, and finally, figured these have been kind of notes to myself over the last few years, and figured I'd start sharing those too. So, that's a little bit about what I got going on, but appreciate you guys having me on and chopping it up. I love this.
Absolutely, man. This is a fun conversation. Got a little deep towards the end there, which is awesome.
I don't mind that.
We got 3 probably emotional feeler type guys on the call right now. So yeah. I love it. But we want to keep you for another couple minutes here to do a 10 questions that'll be housed in our Hockey Think Tank U community. Those have been a ton of fun. We'll have some fun questions for you. We'll have some deep questions for you. We'll have some absolutely ridiculously stupid questions for you. But if you're not a part of Hockey Think Tank U yet, go to htttu.thehockeythinktank.com and check that out. But Matt Fornataro, thanks so much for your time here today, man. Keep doing your thing and creating a positive impact in the hockey world and beyond. And this was a lot of fun. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me.
DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, is built for the fastest game on ice. With player drops and live betting, every shift, every shot, every save gives you options to get in on the game with DraftKings Sportsbook. New customers bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code THPN. That's code THPN to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 plus in most states, void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer, copyright 2026, NHL, all rights reserved.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.